He was talking about how Kial was an understudy of his for Winterfest, and he's going to show her what a leading man is. Whew, if Carlton's the leading man, we're all about to be bored to tears, all right. Hello, Beyond the Gates fans. We are back to talk about another episode. Today's Wednesday, January 21st episode. And while maybe not quite as strong as yesterday's episode, I still feel like it was a pretty good episode. I like the way they are finally starting to give a point to their storylines, which we are going to get into. First, I do want to say only about 35% of you that watch these Beyond the Gates videos are subscribed. So for the 65% of you that aren't subscribed but still watch, please do subscribe, as I am trying to get to 5,000 subscribers. And I would love for it to be Beyond the Gates fans that are subscribing. So yeah, I think a big difference between the two episodes so far this week and the past month and a half, if not 2 months of the show, is that I feel like the stories are finally getting a vision again. One of my biggest complaints, especially in November, December, was I felt like a lot of the storylines were kind of just meandering around. Characters were kind of going nowhere within their stories. Characters didn't seem to have good motivations. The storylines didn't have vision. And that is starting to change in just these past 2 episodes. Today, I guess I want to start with the Ted and Kat argument, although the show started with Ted calling Shanice at the hospital. Shanice was thinking that Ted was going to cancel their dinner date, but he just had to pick a new place. He talked about it being the country club. Shanice is worried about Ted bringing a +1 there because of how the Duprees basically own that club and how she will feel about that. Shanice wanted to try and talk to Nicole before she found out because of people at the country club, but that didn't end up happening. But then Kat interrupted their phone call because Kat was upset that Ted had Eva all up in her business. Kat was pissy per usual, wanting nothing to do with Eva. And while I am still very, very tired of this Kat and Eva rivalry because it's been very repetitive and very one note for a long time now, I do think this conversation was needed between Kat and Ted for multiple reasons, because it did show us some of the layers within this storyline. Kat being her usual biting self, saying that Eva is Ted's spawn and not her sister, and at one point comparing Eva to Cancer, which was, of course, a very low blow. And it did point out the immaturity of Kat with this big old cancer scare going on with her grandma. She still wants to compare Eva to Cancer. I can't get behind the immaturity of Kat sometimes. But Ted was upset about that, of course. Ted says her temper tantrums aren't cute anymore. Kat says his cheating on her mom was not cute either. And so I can see both sides. I am going to both sides this issue today because it's easy to jump on Ted, and I do it a lot. I call Ted a goon. I call him an idiot. I went out of my way one time to make a thumbnail on a video of Ted as a clown because he can really do some clown shit. But he's not 100% at fault here. I get that Ted is sick of apologizing, and it is all Ted's fault. But at the end of the day, Kat does need to find a way to get over this hatred for Eva that has dictated this character's life for so many damn months. She doesn't have to be friends with Eva. She doesn't have to have a sisterly relationship with Eva. But it would be nice of her to just get over it. I mean, at some point you have to grow up, and that's what Kat is not doing. However, that still being said, it also showed us again that Ted is the cause of a lot of these problems. And when Ted is saying he's been a good father to Kat and she needs to try owning her own wrongs, and like he owns his wrongs, I don't know if the writing has been there for Ted all along as a good father to Kat and Martin, especially Martin though. Martin more so than Kat, honestly. But he has really been trying to make up for this relationship with Eva for so long But he hasn't really done a great job of parenting Kat as of late. They've tried harder these past couple of months to make Ted a better father. But yeah, him using those lines today in this argument with Kat was hard to buy. Kat says his love for Eva shouldn't be like his love for her and Martin because he's barely known Eva for a while. Ted is saying he loves all his children. He can't choose one over another. This upsets Kat to hear this, of course. Kat says she can't look at him right now. He says that makes two of us. So Ted finally annoyed with Kat, but it's very realistic. There is many of father-daughter, father-son, mother-daughter relationships out there where at some point, an argument with each other can get heated. And Kat's immaturity would get on my nerves eventually too, so I'm not going to over-hate on Ted for this conversation. The Kat stands will be loud enough for the rest of us anyway. They are one of the louder fan bases with this show. But I saw both sides today, and I thought they were good scenes, and I thought they were needed. Kat then visited Nicole. We'll get to some of Nicole's other storylines, I guess, if I really want to talk about Carlton, which is not very much. But she did go to Nicole. Nicole had a good conversation with Kat. On one hand, I still see the Kat fans' complaints about how nobody in the family ever listens to her. But two things can be true. Nicole was also right today in what she told Kat, that Kat needs to stop holding on to all of this resentment. It is a part of growing up. At some point, you have to let go of it or it's going to dictate your entire life. And Nicole was trying to tell Kat that Eva is not thinking about Kat these days. And that's true. She's only thinking about Kat when Ted's trying to get her to help fix a relationship with Kat. And so Nicole was trying to show Kat how precious time is, especially with Anita having cancer right now. Kat saying she doesn't know how to forgive Eva. She didn't get Nicole's forgiveness gene. She got Danny's scorched earth gene, which is true. Kat then made her way to Martin's. Martin made a comment that Kat has Eva face right now. Everyone in the family trying to tell Kat that they're sick of her going on and on about Eva, which I would be too, which I also think is realistic. There's only so much a person can take about hearing someone complain about the same thing over and over and over without changing her perspective or fixing it. So it did end up being Samantha who tried to get through to Kat to try and look at Eva from a different perspective and try and maybe see things from Eva's perspective. And Samantha talked about how she forgave June. Kat made some comment about how June had problems and Eva makes decisions. And, well, I mean, it's the same thing. June, we're all our childhood traumas. I don't care what anybody says. Anyone I've ever known, their problems usually come from their childhood traumas. And so that's where June's problems come from. And that is where Eva's problems come from. And so I thought Samantha had some good scenes with Kat today too. I'm glad that people had these scenes with Kat because Kat needs to move on into a different story, period. I think that would be better for us all, including the Kat stans. Kat always going on and on about Eva. People can only take so much. And so I think she did need to have a little bit of a reality check today. But at that same time, some of the arguments with Kat and Ted, Kat is 100% right too. Ted caused a lot of the problems, and Ted hasn't been a great father to Kat as of late. He's been overcompensating when it comes to Eva. Nonetheless, enjoyed those scenes today a lot. Ted and Shanice did end up having their date at the country club. Shanice was all dressed up. Good to see it. Nosy Anastasia saw them together, called Shanice a wild horse or something, so Shanice called her an antique roadshow, called her an old filly nobody wants to ride anymore. Shanice was biting today. It was good to see the two nosiest characters on the show go toe-to-toe, and Shanice being able to own the room much like she does at the nurse's station, which I think turned Ted on. It would have probably turned me on too, Ted, so I do get it. Let's see. Carlton and Nicole were on today. Carlton brought Nicole a gift. It was tickets to a play or something. He was talking about how Kial was an understudy of his for Winterfest, and he's going to show her what a leading man is. Whew, if Carlton's the leading man, we're all about to be bored to tears, all right. Carlton wanted to erase the memory of Nicole's night with Kial. He was definitely being jealous, although he was able to own that with Nicole. He asked about how the night with Kial was, and she said that there was a spark, and it was nice to be with someone new who was not around for all the drama with Ted. But she said that Kial is not Carlton, and there's a connection with Carlton. And it's hard to buy that because there is not a connection with Carlton. They're trying in their scenes. I do feel like the actor and actress that plays Nicole and Carlton are really trying to make this thing work. But the problem is them together is so damn boring. And so that's a problem with trying to build this triangle with Kial. Nicole and Carlton did run into Shanice and Ted at the country club at the end of the episode, which is how Nicole finds out that Shanice and Ted are dating. Shanice wanted to talk to Nicole earlier and didn't. Nicole realizing what that was about now. So I'm glad that's out in the open. Carlton also learned earlier in the episode that Ted was moving on. I did like that Ted made fun of Kyle's name, the way it was spelled. Kial. Definitely a dumb spelling. I'm glad a character pointed that out. Kial was on today running into Vanessa. This was the scenes I was afraid of this week. Vanessa started the episode very frustrated because of the whole phone call from yesterday. Kial hopes business is picking up for Vanessa, and then she handed him a card. Luckily, it wasn't to try and get him in the escort service like I feared over the weekend when I talked about some of the spoilers. It was a business card for her realty business. Vanessa thinks Kial should put down some roots. So the show's still slowly introducing us to Kial. I'm just glad he's finally on more this week after being away for over a month. And then the only other things today, I guess Jacob's kind of getting a news story, which is good. He was upset with Marcel at the beginning of the episode because Marcel missed some briefing, and then he came in with lipstick on his collar, and Jacob realized Marcel was having a good old time with Leslie, which Jacob hated on, of course. They bickered some more, and then Jacob is trying to break open some case with, I don't know if it's a gang or what, but he wants to take on the case and go undercover. Marcel was trying to talk him out of it. Marcel wanted to do it because he has done it before, but Jacob's been looking for an opportunity like this, so they talked to Elon about it, Jacob's father. And even though both Elon and Marcel were trying to tell Jacob that this could be dangerous for him, not only for him, but even Naomi, Elon still gave the job to Jacob. So we're about to see Jacob go undercover, I guess. They even talked about him taking an alias and being pulled away from his family and friends. So seems like he's going deep undercover. I don't know for how long and how that will go with his relationship with Naomi, because they've already been having problems for months now, and we always have to hear about it from Naomi. But I am glad Jacob's getting a news story away from all of that. We've always made fun of him about being a bad cop, so we're going to get to see him in action. Maybe they are trying to fix him like they've tried to fix Ted as a father. Maybe they're trying to fix Jacob as a cop, and he will be successful with this endeavor. That's what we're hoping anyway. Quickly, as I'm running out of time, Tyrell was with the family today talking about the cotillion, that Samantha's looking forward to. Samantha giving Tyrell shit for being a hypocrite, still wanting to go to the cotillion with Jessica, even though he was calling it corny customs and everything. Smitty doesn't want Tyrell protesting the cotillion at the cotillion. Martin says he needs to represent, and Tyrell saying he won't shame the family. And then Naomi was on today. I'm having a real hard time being invested in this Naomi storyline with her cancer gene. She doesn't want to tell her family. She doesn't want to tell Jacob. She talked to Shanice at the beginning of the episode and then talked to the doctor about the gene. She's still saying she needs time to tell Jacob and the family. She ran to Nicole, and the doctor kind of covered for Naomi because it is up to Naomi to talk about her health with her own family. I'm just not invested in this enough to care. But it was still a solid episode overall. And what the show's doing good, these 2 episodes this week, they're giving characters motivations there, and they're giving the stories vision. I mean, just in these 2 episodes, we finally have a new story for Chelsea with drugs. We have Jacob going undercover. We have Leslie and Joey's villainous relationship lighting on fire. We had something else happen yesterday that I can't. Oh, maybe Leslie helping Haley with the bill situation. Today, Nicole learns about Shanice dating Ted. We don't know how she's going to take that. So these are the kind of episodes that I need from this show. I need these storylines to have vision, and after 2 months, I finally feel like we're back to a show with vision. You know, the people that complain in my comments from time to time, why do you watch the show if you don't like it, if you don't like the stories? Well, because I'm reviewing it and I'm going to give my honest opinions on what I think about the show, because why even give my opinions if I'm not going to be honest about it? I'm not a shill. There's plenty of those in the world. I am not one of them. I have this channel to give my own honest opinions, and for quite a couple of months now, the show's been going in some bad directions with the writing, but this week, 2 good episodes back to back because the writing has improved and the storylines have vision. What a difference good writing makes.